What is good, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And this one I want to talk about what's going on with the overall market and break down some very important headlines that are coming out for Tesla and how this could affect the share price. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar for today and what's happening at the different levels on Tesla, SPY, Nvda, and at the QQQ. Before I break anything down all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000 into the account, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks. This offer ends in just a few weeks. Anyways, what's going on with Tesla? Tesla had a big drop today as we saw it retesting this blue trend line right here, which was our previous resistance, becoming support. And now it's still trying to bounce just a little bit. It's still a little bit red right now, but we're going to be watching some very critical levels on Tesla. I will break down the charts in just a few minutes, but let's first go over some data and news. The market saw a big drop after all this data came out in the morning during the pre-market. Non-farm payrolls were hotter than expected. The unemployment rate was lower than expected at 3.7%. The labor market is showing more strength than what was expected, and this caused the market to temporarily drop and then try to bounce a little bit. Right now, this is going to dictate the Fed's policies. The market could be worried that, look, even though the numbers look decent, could this be fueling higher inflation in the future? Is that about to happen or not? We'll be watching this very, very carefully. There's a risk of that, in my opinion, so we have to be very careful. Hopefully, it's not too bad. Hopefully, this doesn't lead to another slight increase in inflation. We'll be watching this all very, very carefully. But this is part of why the market kind of like slumped, came down, and then tried to bounce. Besides that, at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time today, 30 minutes after market open, we have the ISM data, ISM services, business activity, employment, new orders, and prices. ISM services, new orders is going to be the most important one in my opinion, because it's going to give us a gauge about future data about how on earth, right now consumers are looking, different service sectors are looking right now, and it's going to give us a good gauge about demand. That's going to be very important. So watch for volatility at 10 o'clock a.m., 30 minutes after market open. And besides that, we just have a Fed speaker at 1:30 p.m. So that's going to be the next major piece of data. Watch for volatility at 10 o'clock a.m. Besides that, we have some new news coming out. Right now, the Dow Jones is down 0.7% for the week, S&P 500 down 1.7% for the week, and the Nasdaq 3.3%. We're likely going to get a red week this week. I don't think, any of these indices are going to be making full recoveries in just one day unless something crazy happens. But most likely we're going to get a red week, so don't panic too much over this, guys. We'll be doing an analysis of this later on. There's some news coming out. Non-farm payrolls will help determine the Fed's policies, and this just came out hotter than expected. So once again, we'll see what the Fed does about this. Could this fuel hotter inflation? No guarantees, guys. The numbers are very manipulated, but we just have to go with them, and we'll just see what happens. The market dropped at first and then ended up bouncing. There's more a noise going on in the Red Sea about some issues. There's also some news coming out that NCAA and ESPN have reached an 8-year, $920 million media rights deal, under which the Disney-owned network will broadcast 40 championships, including football and women's basketball. That's good news for them. And Peloton, this is like a funny little name they came up with. This is for Peloton, which is getting more social, estimated a nice deal with, or a partnership with TikTok. That's good news for them to help increase revenue and advertising. So interesting stuff for them. But that's it for now for the main things for the markets. Now let's talk about Tesla. We have some negative news, guys. First off, I find this ridiculous. I'm still seeing headlines coming out about how Elon Musk laughed off BYD as a threat. Now it's taking Tesla's EV crowd. They're still talking about this after days and days and days and days. They have nothing better to talk about, but just shows their bias right over here. And then check this out, guys. There's news coming out. Tesla to fix 1.62 million vehicles in China. This headline right here, this is actually all over the news. Tesla recalls 1.6 million EVs. Tesla recalls 1.6 million vehicles to reduce collision risks, basically. Tesla to recall 1.6 million vehicles in China. The headlines are screaming this, but once you actually study this, hold on a second, you will find that in order for Tesla to fix this, all they have to do is another upgrade, another software update. Right over here, they're going to release an over-the-air software update for the 1.61 million units. Right here, it's just the same thing. Tesla plans an over-the-air software fix for vehicles produced between August 2024 and December 2023. So it's just an over-the-air software update to fix it. Why on earth are they saying that it's a massive recall? It just shows their bias. It just shows how the media is just bashing Tesla. This is not a typical recall for the standards of most conventional, EV companies or even any like automotive companies out there. This is not a typical recall. So they're just trying to use this against Tesla. They're just very biased against it. Is there an issue with the cars? You could argue that, sure, but it's not a typical recall. It's just an over-the-air software fix. It's just ridiculous to me that we keep seeing this happening from the media, which keeps causing Tesla to drop. So it's just very, very biased and absolutely insane. Now let's talk about some important levels on Tesla. The daily look kind of bearish, but I want to call out to the most important level today, basically. Now we know where Tesla has resistance and support, but the most important support, I want to call this out, is 234. We need to see Tesla try to hold that. It's going to be the daily 200 EMA. If we lose this, Tesla could turn a lot more bearish, so just be very careful. Watch the daily 200 EMA at 234 very carefully. Now, with that being said, here's how Tesla's looking. Basically, we have this blue trend line. You guys can see this is our resistance on Tesla. You guys can see this. We had this channel on Tesla, and Tesla attempted to break above it. We're still kind of above the channel. We're trying to push upwards, but we still have this resistance to be watching for. Tesla has resistance right now at 237. That's going to be our resistance. If it breaks above this, our next resistance is going to be 238. That's where we have this gap to fill. 240, 242, and 244. For support, make sure you watch 230. Basically, we have some support at 236. It's kind of minor. There's 235 technically is like the level that's holding Tesla up. That's like more significant. If we lose 235, expect it to test 234. That's going to be the daily 200 EMA. If we lose that support, 232 becomes a possibility, followed by 230. But 234 is going to be the most important support. So in my opinion, we're going to be looking for the ISM numbers. If there's more downside for Tesla, we got to be watching this 234 area to see if Tesla could hold this. That's going to be very important. We might try to hold this. We might see buyers try to defend it, but watch that very carefully. If we do end up testing this, that is going to be pivotal for Tesla. In my opinion, it is looking a bit more bearish on the daily and the 4-hour time frames, and it's technically just like continuing to downtrend. But watch 234. We'll see if buyers try to defend it right there. It could actually touch that and then, kind of shuffle around there. So we'll see if Tesla tests that, and then we'll see how it goes. There's also an unfilled gap above, so we'll see if this thing kind of like pops first and comes back down to 234 later on and bounces, or if it just goes straight down. So watch that very carefully. There might be a test of 234. We'll see if Tesla could hold that. Let's hope Tesla closes above 234. If it fails to do so, it's going to turn even more bearish. So watch that as a critical level for today. For SPY, we have another very important level. SPY had a crazy, crazy reaction. So with all the economic data, SPY dropped pretty hard to 464. Now it's trying to bounce, hitting 467. It has an unfilled gap just under 468. So we'll see if this thing can try to fill that gap or come back down. But overall, the channel that's in is still kind of bearish as it's on a downtrend. It's still on a downtrend overall, guys. If you actually look at SPY, I'm going to be watching to see if this thing could bounce or not. We have critical resistance at 468. We have to try to get back above 468 for there to be hope for the bulls. If we fail to do so, there's going to be a risk of more downside. So watch 468 as critical resistance. Make sure for support you watch 467. If that fails us, then we have this blue trend line, which is going to act as support. That's going to be at 466. And we have 465 as the next level. If that fails us, we have some support at 464. It's not that strong. We have stronger support at 462, which is where we have an imbalance. So that being said, can SPY push just a little bit when we open, try to fill this gap? It could push just a little bit, but be very careful, guys. We have tight resistance at 468. That's a very critical level, and we'll see if SPY rejects from there or not. But I do want to mention that when you look at SPY on the 4-hour time frame, overall the chart is still on a downtrend. So we'll see if it bounces just a little bit, and we'll see if we get a rejection or not. It's still on a downtrend. There's no sign of this thing truly getting a massive trend reversal yet. The trend is still bearish, so you want to be very careful with SPY. Watch the levels I called out. Unlike SPY, let me just double check this. Unlike SPY, the QQQ is also, although it's on a downtrend, but this thing has critical support. It just touched already, so the QQQ actually reached critical support. And we're going to be watching 393 as the most important level on the QQQ. So if you're trading it, 393 is going to be your level of the day, at least for support. For resistance, make sure you watch this 396.5 area. If that breaks, we have 397.5 4. And then if we break above that, there's 398, followed by 399.6 as resistance. For support, make sure you watch 395. If we lose 395, this thing is going to be sinking back down to 394. If we lose that, 393 is going to be our critical level. We have to try to hold that. That's where you have our 200 EMA critical support. If we lose that, it's going to be sinking down to 390, in my opinion, for a bigger drop. So 393 is critical support. Make sure you watch that very carefully and see if this thing could hold. It might shuffle between 396.5 and around 395 for the time being, but make sure you pay very close attention to 393. If we do end up coming back down there, we have to try to close above that, or else we're going to turn even more bearish. For Nvda is on an uptrend. It's still holding up nicely. We have tight resistance at 485. That's going to be a key resistance. If we break this, 488 plus is a possibility. For support, if we lose 480, it could be sinking back down to 475. Now, on Nvidia, I just want to mention that it's starting to show some strength compared to the market. It's on an uptrend. It's holding above its 200 EMA, but we also have resistance at the 50 EMA at that 485 level that I called out. There's a potential cup and handle that's forming, so it has some life. But here's the thing about Nvidia. Although it's uptrending, be very careful. We could be forming a flag here. So we have this channel that's basically developing. We've been basically making higher highs and higher lows. We're stuck in this channel, so we'll see how it goes. But watch this channel carefully just to see if we hold this or not. And we're going to be watching to see how it ends up looking. Right now, guys, when we're in this channel, we've been stuck going back and forth and back and forth. We're likely going to continue to do so. But overall, Nvidia is showing some strength, so it may make an attempt to go a little higher. If you want to be bearish, you want to see it lose this bottom support right here and start dropping back down lower to 475. If you're really bullish, you want to see it break 485 and break above this channel. And that's when it can really start pushing back up to 490. For now, it's just in this channel, so watch the channel for the time being. As far as Aapl goes, Aapl overall has support right here at this 180 area. It also has support at 181 and resistance at 182, and 183 and 183.5 are resistance levels. It's been stuck in the 181, so it may shuffle for a bit. It could try to push a little higher as we open to retest 182.5, but then watch and see what the reaction is once we get all this data at 10 o'clock a.m. for the ISM services. We'll see if this causes a big drop or not, but Aapl is still kind of weak. If Aapl loses 180, I just want to call out that on the daily time frame of Aapl, we have our 200 EMA very close to that 178 area. So that's going to be very close. Watch 178 as critical support of 180 breaks, and it's just barely holding 180 for now. So could Aapl sink more? It is possible. If we lose 180, watch for a test of 178. And then if we continue to hold up above 182, we could be pushing for 183.5. Otherwise, Aapl is going to be very tight and range bound, just like yesterday. All right, that's it for the video. Hopefully this video didn't overextend. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you guys very soon on the next one. Thank you, and peace out.